let's continue on with another lesson here. And so we were talking about your assets and liabilities, right?
Yeah.
And when you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I said your house is not an asset, what did you think?
Well, I think that's a conception that many people believe, but as you demonstrated at the last seminar that we went to in Argentina, my mom had her properties and she converted them into assets.
Correct.
I think it just depends on what you do with it, and it would be great if you could show us how to turn your house into an asset.
It's really fundamental. So if I could go back, I probably covered it earlier, but it's a crucial question. And this is what financial education and financial literacy really is. Again, it starts with a financial statement. And I would say probably 95% of all college graduates don't know what a financial statement is. You took an accounting course, right?
Yeah, I did.
I know you did parts of this. But I say to young people like you, there's 6 basic words to financial literacy and financial education. And the 6 words, again, are income, expense, asset, liability. See, I don't really care about my FICO score. A FICO score just basically registers, are you trustworthy with borrowing money? But a bank will never say, I borrow in the hundreds of millions of dollars. A FICO score not going to get me there, okay? And so it's kind of a ruse. I mean, it's important, but not for me. So these are the 4 words, income, expense, asset, liability, and the last 2 words are the words cash flow. And that's why the game is called cash flow. And the secret to being rich is not a college education, but can you control cash flow? And this is what cash flowing looks like. So this here, I need this, income, expense, asset, liability. Again, this is, you get a job. And this was my poor dad, go to school, get a job, get your PhD. And so this here is cash flow. So the income comes in and it goes out this way. First line of expense is tax. So this is a poor person's cash flow pattern. It's not how much money you make. Most people, I don't care if you have a PhD or no school at all, but they can't control the cash flowing out through their expenses. And so that's why people like Susie Orman say, cut up your credit cards, live below your means, because you're a spendaholic. So that's a poor person. This is a middle class person's cash flow pattern. And this is where the house comes in. First thing, most kids do when they get pay raise or that, they buy themselves a bigger house. Oh, my house is an asset. Now, who tells you that? Your real estate agent, of course.
Yeah.
Right? Because they want to give you this false sense of security while you're getting screwed.
Exactly.
But when you look at what happens with a house, a personal residence, something I live in, the money comes in, it goes out, and this is middle class, but it also goes out through a mortgage payments. Oh, but I don't have a mortgage. You still have taxes. You still, Hawaii just raised the property taxes on me, which is probably what I'm going to sell. I'm going to get out of Hawaii. But you have taxes and you have upkeep. So money's always flowing out. So that's why your house is not an asset, is because it's taking money from your pocket. So very simply said, assets put money in my pocket, liabilities take money from my pocket. And then this here is, so I'm not saying don't buy a house, but here is a house. And I started when I was 25, bought my first house, and it was an apartment, it was an investment property. I didn't live in it, I rented it out, and it put money in my pocket. So very simple, the definition of asset and liability is not the house or this, it's cash flow. Where is the cash flowing? So as a young person, and to all millennials or if you're old, financial intelligence is the ability to control cash flow. And that's what they don't teach you at school. They tell you to go to school, get a job, First thing is tax. You know, you'll pay, most of your money will go out through taxes in your lifetime. And then they tell you to buy a house and a car. A car is an asset. No, a car is a liability. You got insurance, gas, upkeep, and all this. Now, if you buy a taxi car, it could be an asset. It's cash flow. And that's very simply it. So this is a poor person. Money goes out. There's a lot. We just interviewed some National Football League players who make millions of dollars in their 20s. And most of them are broke in 2 years because they can't control cash flow. Intelligence, IQ, is can you control cash flow? Not your college degree. College degrees are important, but they're not going to teach you this. So the cash flow game trains you over and over and over and over again to get your money in here to get cash flow this way. So I started with this. It cost me $18,000. I paid for the credit card and I put $25 in my pocket. Okay? It's an infinite return because the cash flow paid for the mortgage, it paid the expenses, pays the operating costs, and I still made $25. Kim's first deal was the same. Hers wasn't $18,000, it was $50,000, $45,000. And they put $25 in her pocket. But Kim now owns 6,500 rental properties, and she pays no tax because the income comes from here. If you have a job, you pay tax, but income, the rich get richer because when you have asset income, taxes are less. You can get it down to zero if you want. But that's financial intelligence, but can you control cash flow? Okay? So say it again, assets what?
Assets put money into your pocket, liabilities take money out of your pocket.
And so as a young person, you just focus on that. So when you're buying a new house, you gotta say, is this gonna take money or put money? You buy an apartment house, is it gonna take money or put money? That's it. It's cash flow. Six most important words for financial intelligence and IQ is income, expense, asset, liability, but it's really cash flow.
Thing that's very interesting. I was reading a report by gold report by the Toronto Dominion Bank, a TD Bank, a Western-friendly bank, and they talked about gold going up to $2,000. And it was very interesting to me that the opening says the West's loss of control over commodity pricing is a slow-burning theme with significant implications for pricing, inflation, currencies, politics over the coming decade. You have a Western bank, one of the largest banks in Canada, saying that the West is losing control over the ability to suppress the gold and silver market and other commodities. And this is why you are seeing the smart money bleed dry all of the exchanges of the world of their commodities, not just gold and silver, zinc and aluminum and all the soft and hard goods that are disappearing off the COMEX and the London Metals Exchange. They are front running what they see coming. So yeah, I'd love to talk about the solution. I think that's a great idea.
So that's why, would you explain what Miles Franklin does? But, you know, to be perfect for disclosure, I do buy from Andy Schechtman. I make no commissions. I am a consumer just wait because I like, but education, I get along with the products I buy. So this here is a silver coin. This is about $35 today. I mean, everybody in the world can afford $35, but they'd rather hang on to this toilet paper here. And this is a gold coin. And this is March 2023, $30. This is about 2,000 something. And I think this is the biggest bargain of all, is that silver, because silver is consumed in everything. You know, all the solar panels, these Tomahawk missile, got 30 pounds of silver in it. It goes boom in the desert. You know, EV, electronic vehicles, are going to burn this stuff here. And everybody can afford $35. But will they do it? No, they're going to hang on to this garbage here. Let me say one more thing. There's a thing called Triffin's Dilemma. Triffin's Dilemma meant that for the U.S. to be the world's money, reserve currency in 1944, they had to print extra of this. So the whole world had this in their banks all over the world. They have more of this stuff than any other product in history. This is toilet paper. And what that guy was saying from Kenya is when this stuff starts coming back in, it's just not how much they printed, it's how much they've had in storage, because they had to be able to buy oil in this stuff here. So what's going to come back is a tidal wave of this toilet paper upon America. And this little $35 coin here, I don't like to make predictions, but I'd rather have this than this here. And it's really tough to get people to say, no, I'd rather have toilet paper. It makes no sense to me. So please explain what Miles Franklin does. And I am, for full disclosure, I am a customer of Andy, but I am a customer of him because I like what he teaches me about money.
You're very kind, and what you just said is exactly right, Robert. This is the dilemma, and the dilemma is you can see if you take a step back, and I mentioned Jenga, what Kenya did in and of itself by saying we're going to pay for this stuff, and what Saudi Arabia and UAE said, okay, we'll take your Kenyan shillings instead of dollars, in and of itself isn't as big of a deal until you put all of these things into context that we've been talking about since the very first time that we did a podcast last August, and they're all growing with severity and with frequency, and it's happening. The de-dollarization is real. The union of these countries against the West is real, and if and when they all dump dollars and the tidal wave of dollars come home, it creates a massive problem against everything in this country that is valued opposite